So this is a Bing Fang P90. This is the pink one that I recently showed you from gelltactical.com. Now I opened it up because I'm going to be doing some really cool kit for it. This is all cosmetic, but I figured I'd open one up and I would show you the gearbox because I'm going to go ahead and replace the spring in it too, because this basically has a Gen 8 inline gearbox, essentially is what this is. Now I was going to replace the barrel too and put a longer one in, but this T-channel is a very unique T-piece, and that's not something I have an extra one of. And yes, sometimes you can reuse them, but you also run the risk of ruining them if you try to remove this metal barrel from it. There's a way you can kind of soak them in hot water, but I'm not going to risk doing that. Instead, I'm just going to leave that, and we're just going to go ahead and do the spring replacement. But first off, when it comes to opening one of these up, they're not really easy. I mean, they're not hard, but first off, obviously, you're just going to unscrew all the screws that you can. They're all Allen wrench screws like this. There's long ones and the majority of it, and then the handle has some shorter versions of these. So you're going to do all that, but it's still going to be stuck together, and stuck together pretty good. So then you can either take like a flathead screwdriver, or if you're lucky enough to have like trim pieces like this, these are typically used for removing trim in vehicles, that kind of thing, or fasteners, to be able to kind of pry it up all the way around carefully until you can pop it off and apart, because it is popped together pretty good. Because aside from the screws, there's a couple places like where there's metal pins, right, and they just hold it together pretty well. So did all that, got it ready. Now you do see I have some masking tape here. This is just to hold the trigger and spring in place, just mainly because I don't want to lose it. And then there was another piece for the mag release that I have in here, and I just taped the spring to it because there's a bigger spring on this. This slides in here, right? And that's what the mag release part is. And I did not want to lose that spring because that actually popped when I took it apart, and then I had to figure out where that spring was from. So you want to make sure you remember where everything goes, obviously, right? So this piece just comes off like that once you've got it taken apart. The door for the battery just comes off like that. And then you can see here, this is where we go ahead and replace the spring. So I'm going to go ahead and put an M95 spring in here. Just, you know, that should give it a considerable boost in power without having to worry about the gears or changing anything else out. So you're just going to turn this, and we should get that to pop out. You can see the spring kind of caught there. So this was the standard spring, and we're going to an M95 spring. So you can see it's quite a bit longer, and then it's just a lot better quality spring in general. And that's normal with any of the factory springs versus the aftermarket ones. So you're just going to go ahead and put that back in there. It's kind of a trick to doing this. Just usually I use like a flathead like I am here, and you're just going to kind of get it pushed back in. Okay, and then you want to be able to turn it right there. So that worked out perfect. Sometimes I've been able to do it just with a thumb, but then if there's too much pressure and it slips, then it pops out, and you gotta go find the spring, and you gotta go find that little spring retention piece. All right, so it's quick, it's easy. That showed you how to do a spring replacement. That applies to changing the spring basically on any gearbox. They all so far that I've ever done, and probably done at least 10 different kinds, basically work that same way. Turn the spring retention pin, it pops out, put the new one in, push it in, turn it back in place. So there you go, the P90, that's a way to see the inside. That's how you can change the spring. Check back for when I get it fully put back together with this awesome kit that you haven't seen yet, and there'll be some cool bright colors to match this. Comments, questions, post them below. Like, subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and participate in the monthly giveaways. Thanks.